They say to lock the classroom doors, turn the lights off, and hide under the desk. And no empty details are given. At first, you just think this is another school drill that happens every week. But then you hear a loud bang. Then you realize this just might be real. Because a couple years ago during school, this is a real experience I went through. It started with me in the class, unsuccessfully flirting with the girl I liked. But then something that had never happened before occurred. An announcement was made over the intercom. And obviously, announcements go off all the time. That's not unusual. But this one was different. Because normally, when they're speaking over the intercom, they're just saying random things that no one can understand or cares about. They'll be like, "For the person who threw human feces on the wall in the bathroom, please come to their office." And the tone they say it in always makes it sound like they haven't experienced joy in their life since McDonald's got rid of the dollar menu. So imagine how odd it was during the announcement when the person speaking was pissed. I'll give you a reenactment of exactly this. Attention. On campus, the school is going into lockdown. Teachers. Immediately when this announcement went off, I'm looking around to make sure the kid that worked with the Air Force is in school every day was ready. I didn't trust him. But he was the weird thing though that you may think this ominous sounding announcement would be enough to make all of us students panic, or to at least understand that the situation was not a joke. But apparently not, because our class was still messing around. The whispering part definitely seemed a little weird, but still, we were hiding under the desks, but everyone was making jokes. No one thought it was real because we would do these drills all the time during school, and they would never tell you whether it was fake or an actual serious situation. So all the students just assumed it wasn't because we did this like every week, and I was one of the people not taking it seriously. I may be the only person to get my phone taken away during an actual school lockdown. Even kidding. We were under our desks in lockdown, and that damn ringtone from the game room. So the teacher that's probably a dumb thing to do looking back. But anyways, the point is, no one thought it was real, so we were scared. But there was a specific moment where the sound went bang, and I went to that school for 3 years up to that point. But not once in my life banging on the desk, because this was many decibels higher than any of those sounds ever could have made. Everyone in my class heard it, and we all kind of collectively agreed that it was the same thing, a gunshot. So now, there ain't any more laughing. All of a sudden, I'm not so upset that I can't defend my base on Clash of Clans, because this felt serious. I'm not exaggerating when I say that there were people in the class that started to cry. Which, by the way, if we're in a scenario that's already stressful, please don't make it worse by saying all the things that you don't want to happen. Like a girl that was next to me while all this was going on was absolutely crashing out, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, we're not gonna make it, are we? I can't do this. I can't do this. What if we get hurt? What if we get hurt? I'm so scared. What if this person finds us? What if they're dangerous? I'm so scared." Like, girl, you don't think we're all freaking out on the inside? Stop making it worse. We're gonna give you the fire extinguisher and shit. You have to go fight whoever this mystery intruder is. Sorry, that was too far. I know, I get kind of mean when I'm stressed, but moving forward, I think when the teacher heard this loud bang, they realized that this probably wasn't a drill either. Because when we first went into lockdown, he was just sitting at his desk not doing anything. Probably playing Clash of Clans on my phone, to be honest. But after he heard that bang, he went over to the front door and stood by it, holding his big Stanley water bottle as if he was going to use that as a weapon to protect us. And I have to say, I really appreciate the effort to protect the class, but respectfully, if this is a serious threat and our 135-pound teacher with his Stanley water bottle is our best defense, we might as well give up now. That's like a toddler trying to fight a sumo wrestler. So everyone in class is super on edge, freaking out, waiting to see what's going to happen next, including me. But the one thing that I couldn't stop thinking about during this moment was a thought that every single man has ever had. And so all the ladies who are going to be able to relate to this, I don't know if you know this about guys, but every single one of us has gone through this exact scenario and us saving the school. Usually how it plays out in our head is we're fighting the intruder and everyone is escaping the school, and then after it's all over, we're the hero. And I always thought that if I was actually in this scenario, that's how I would react. I'd be fighting off and be the hero who saved the school. But this ain't a Marvel movie. So when I got the chance to actually be in this situation, did I do that? Not even close. The moment I heard that loud bang, I tucked into a ball under that desk.
All of us are down!
So if you ever see me talking,
Okay, let's retry.
actually about that. Sitting on the desk, bang, 10 minutes, no things, just waiting for something to happen. But then I started getting even more tense. Because our classroom created a piece in the school parking lot. After these 10 minutes, the police showed up. And we could hear that something was going on. It was in this moment that I thought he was playing. We're right next to the parking lot. Why didn't you just call it? I know you guys are thinking, why did you not remember how smart you are? Well, apparently the teacher didn't think that way because I went up to him to say, hey, if the situation gets really bad or the intruder comes inside here, well, when I said that, he looked at me as if I just told him that the earth was flat. To paraphrase what he said to me, he basically told me, no stupid discipline on your desk. So I did, but I still kept it in there. I'm running through that window like Ray Lewis. So when they were running onto campus to get whoever this intruder was. I was more confused on what was actually going on. But then, in quite possibly the scariest single moment of my life, I hear someone try to unlock the door. I've never felt my heart drop more than exactly when that happened. And when I tell you that window was looking real nice to run through at that moment, I ain't lying, but the door was locked, so whoever tried getting in couldn't. And they only tried opening the door once. So after this, our whole class was on edge. No one has any idea where this intruder is, what that loud bang sound was, or why the cops aren't moving. We're all just terrified, and we can't do anything about it. But then another announcement was made over the intercom, and it wasn't very encouraging. The person speaking said, attention, do not open your classroom door under any circumstance, no matter who says they are out there. We will notify the classrooms when it is safe to come out. So basically they're saying, yeah, the intruder is trying to unlock classroom doors. Great. And now, the anxiety of waiting to find out what would happen next was the worst part. I couldn't take it anymore, so I was getting frustrated at everything. Like, I saw one person start doing homework for this class while we were waiting, but his pencil was making a noise every time he wrote, and I didn't want the intruder to somehow hear it, which wasn't realistic, but I was freaking out. So I was like, dude, why are you doing that right now? And he goes, nothing else to do. So I said, dog, algebra is not worth dying for. Put that paper away. I was not a pleasant person to be around. But after all this time of waiting, we got a third and final announcement. This time it says, attention classroom, please evacuate to the grass. So the teacher tells us to get up and leave the classroom in a single file line towards the grass area. But all the students are collectively kind of like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're all just going to try to cram through the door at once. Every man for themselves at this point. And this is why school drills are so dumb. You think if there's actually something like a fire happening, the students are going to wait till everyone in the classroom is accounted for and then walk in a single file line outside? No shot. The moment I hear that fire alarm sound go off, I'm running out of that classroom faster than a girl does when I talk over with her. So we get outside, and the whole school is just standing in the grass area confused on what's happening. Because as we were leaving the classrooms, the police were going into them. So everyone is gossiping to each other, trying to figure out what happened. But we're not getting any answers because every time we try to ask a teacher, they say they have no idea what's going on either. But after a couple minutes of being outside, we see about 5 cops walking a guy to a police car with handcuffs on. This had to be the intruder, right? Well, that's what we thought because we watched the cops into the police vehicle with handcuffs. Everyone thought they caught the guy and that it was all over until we heard another bang. It sounded just like the one we heard earlier. And remember, before this day, I've never heard a sound like that at school. So people are freaking out again because we're all outside now and we have no idea what's going on. So can someone please tell me why schools think it's a good idea to put students outside, exposed in an open field, while there's an armed suspect on campus? We're basically target practice sitting out there like that. So that made it even more scary because we had no cover now. I knew one kid that literally lived right next to school, so he was like, man, forget this, and he just went home. His house literally bordered the school, so he just hopped the wall into his backyard. It felt like he was the only person thinking logically at that point. But more time passes, and eventually, we get told that it's safe to go back to our classrooms. So we do. But at this point, it was lunchtime. So everyone is talking about it during lunch, trying to figure out if anyone knew any information. But then one of our teachers walked by during lunch. So we asked him if he knew what happened. And he said yes. And when I tell you the truth of this whole situation was ridiculous, I mean it. Because apparently, the intruder we were all freaking out over was just 2 kids from another school who were trying to play a prank. And let me explain what the prank was. So the week they did this was what our school called Rivals Week. And this was the week where we played our school rivals football. So the intruders who were from this rival school tried to play a prank of lighting fireworks off on our campus. But they weren't just any fireworks. They were mortars. So they were super loud. And when they exploded, it sounded like a gunshot. That was the loud bang we kept hearing throughout the day, and there was 2 of them doing it, which explained why we heard another bang go off after the first guy got arrested. So the teacher explained all of this to us and left me with two questions. Number one, how are these kids that dumb to do that as a prank? And number two, why would the school make an announcement scaring everyone saying that there's an armed intruder on campus? When it's just kids shooting fireworks. What are they gonna do? Turn into Harry Potter and shoot fireworks at people? Calling someone coming onto campus with a firework an armed intruder is about as big of a stretch as when a random girl holds the door open for me so I tell my friends I think she wants me. Why did they have to say it like that? And usually during Rivals Week, the schools prank each other. But after this happened, our school was like, hey, y'all got it this year, man. All right, you win. We ain't breaking you back. But there was still one question left unanswered after all of this. Who was the person who tried unlocking the classroom door during the lockdown? Because the pranksters never went inside. They were just lighting fireworks outside. But I was able to figure out who it was the next day when I'm back in that same class, and me and a couple of classmates are talking about the situation. It's so crazy that I was stuck outside the classroom during this whole thing. When he said this, I went, wait. What did you just say? Oh, well, I went to the bathroom before our class went into lockdown, and when I tried coming back, the door was locked and no one would let me in. Then he said he tried unlocking a couple more classroom doors, but those were all locked too. So he just went back into the bathroom and sat inside a stall this whole time without knowing what was going on, waiting for the situation to be over. So if you learned one thing from this whole story, it's that you should never go number two in a school bathroom. The Zodiac Killer, Ted Bundy, the Freeway Killer. What do all three of these infamous serial killers have in common? The Zodiac Killer, Ted Bundy, the Freeway Killer. The Zodiac Killer, Ted Bundy, the Freeway Killer. What do all three of these infamous serial killers have in common? They all used hitchhiking as a way to find their next victim. So after learning this information, it's probably safe to say that you should never pick up a hitchhiker because chances are it won't end well. Right? Apparently that's not what I thought, because a little over a year ago, I was traveling from Joshua Tree, California to Los Angeles because I was at a friend's birthday party. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with that area, it's about a 4 to 5 hour drive, and let me tell you, it is not a scenic one. You see, Joshua Tree is in the middle of the desert, so it's an area with a lot of open land, and hypothetically speaking, it's a great area to hide a body because the odds of someone finding it are very slim. Hypothetically speaking, of course. So anyways, I'm driving back from Joshua Tree and I'm all by my... It's a great area, hypothetically speaking. It's a great area to hide a body because the odds of someone finding it are very slim. Hypothetically speaking, of course. So anyways, I'm driving back from Joshua Tree and I'm all by myself because all of my friends were staying at that house the whole weekend. But I had to leave a day early because I had a wedding to go to the next
Give me a
day.
second.
But it was my friend's birthday and I wanted to spend as much time with him as possible. So I didn't leave the house until about 11 p.m. And since it's a 4-hour drive, I should have been back to Los Angeles around 3 a.m. Now that's super late, obviously. So once I left the house, I didn't expect to see anyone else on the road because you're driving in the middle of nowhere. So it'd be really weird to see anyone that wasn't named Walter White in this area at that time. So I'm driving and my assumption was correct. There was no one on the road. But about an hour into the drive, from probably about 5 miles away, I see a light flashing in the distance. So obviously, I have the same thought that any normal, rational person would have, which is, yep, that's an alien, and I'm 1000% about to get abducted right now. It's over. Okay, that might be far-fetched, but it really wasn't ridiculous to think that because Joshua Tree is not that far from Area 51. You don't think one of those little aliens could have teleported through the wall and escaped? I mean, yeah, they're smart enough to travel to a completely different galaxy, but you think they can't escape Nevada? Okay, enough yapping about alien conspiracy theories. Anyways, as I get closer to this mysterious light, I can see a silhouette of what looks like a human. And then once I'm about half a mile away, and for those of you who aren't American, half a mile is about 300 Queen Elizabeths stacked on top of each other. Hope that helps. But once I'm about half a mile away, I start slowing down because obviously I'm nosy. I want to check out what's going on. Like for anyone that wonders why there's traffic in the world when everyone could just go, it's people like me. I'm the reason why. Because if I in the world when everyone could just go, it's people like me. I'm the reason why. Because if I see a car crash, I'm slamming my brakes and instigating, looking at it like this. You can't park there. So eventually, I get to a point where I can see that it's clearly a person holding a super strong flashlight. And they saw that I was slowing down, so they start flashing their light towards me as if they were signaling for help. And like I said, I'm nosy, so I roll my window down to see what they're gonna say. But of course, I keep my doors locked, just in case. And the person with the flashlight goes, "Thank you so much for stopping. My car broke down a while ago, but my phone has been dead, so I haven't been able to call my insurance or anyone for help. Can you please help me?" Now listen. I know that I should be smart enough to see that this feels like a trap, but I also have a heart, okay? And if this person was really in trouble and needed help, I was gonna help them. Because also, if you didn't know, the desert gets cold at night. And I mean like freezing cold. So if they had to sit there the whole night without any heat or anything, by the time morning came, let's just say, you would have had to defrost them before putting them in the oven. So I knew I couldn't just leave them there and drive away. My conscience would have felt way too guilty, but I also was still skeptical. So I asked the man how I could help him, and he said if I had a phone, he could use it to call his insurance company. And for a second, I was like, well, what if he's trying to steal my phone? But then after I thought about it, I was like, what is he gonna do? Run off with it? Yeah, good luck, buddy. We're in the middle of the desert, and I'm pretty sure my car can go faster than he can run. My 2018 Honda Civic is basically a Lamborghini. So I let him borrow my phone, and he thanks me once again. But then he says it's gonna take a minute because he had to look up the number of his insurance company because he didn't know it by heart. So he's using my phone for maybe 3 to 4 minutes without calling anyone. And he kept saying it just wasn't loading because we were in the desert, so the internet was slow. But then finally, he calls someone, and I hear another voice on the other side of the phone. So I trust that this guy is actually talking to someone trying to get help. And after about a minute of talking, he hangs up the phone and gives it back to me. So he says thank you again, and I ask him if he got his problem resolved. But he goes, well, kind of. Since we're so far into the desert and it's so late at night, the insurance company won't be able to get here until morning. Then he says, I know this is asking a lot, but do you think you'd be able to give me a ride to the nearest hotel? And I already know what you guys are going to say. Tyler, this is how every single horror movie starts. And I agree. Trust me, I'm always the one who will watch a horror movie and judge the main character because they'll be like, what's that? Oh, the past 13 people who went to that really creepy house right there mysteriously disappeared? Yeah? We should go inside it then. Like, I'm not that dumb, I promise. But like I said, I would have felt so guilty if I left that guy out there in the freezing cold for the whole night. And listen, that made me dumb, but I ain't stupid. So I say to the guy, I'm sorry, I'm just not comfortable giving you a ride by myself. How about I call the police and see if one of them could pick you up and take you to a hotel? But the moment I brought up the police, his face looks grim, and he goes, no, no police, please. So now I'm starting to lean to the side of, okay, you're a Ted Bundy impersonator, aren't you? So now I really don't trust him because of how he responded. But then he goes, sorry, I would just prefer to not have police out here. The plates on my car are updated, and I really can't afford a ticket right now. I'm already going to have to pay to get my car repaired, as you can see. Okay, that was a pretty quick cover story, but I still don't trust him. So then I finally ask what exactly is wrong with his car. And he goes, it's been having engine problems for a while. It just broke down. And I don't know anything about cars, so I couldn't help him with that. But my dad does. He's like the Michael Jordan of fixing cars. So I tell the guy I could call my dad and see if he knows what the problem is and how to fix it. Because the guy had tools in his vehicle, he just didn't know how to use them. Which was also another sketchy thing, like, why do you have tools if you don't know how to use them? Perhaps he had them for a different reason. But the guy says that would be great if I could call my dad. So I do. And guess what? My dad was sleeping. I should have been surprised. So we're back to square one now, trying to think of solutions. And keep in mind, this whole time, he keeps begging me for a ride to the hotel. And I keep turning him down. But then finally, we see another car coming our way in the distance. So the guy waves him down like he did to me. And this car also stops. So I was like, hey, you guys must be as nosy as I am, huh? Like, let's be real. We're all nosy. We want to know what's going on. It's the same reason that if you see I get you ejected by a in public, your reaction is like, oh my gosh, this is so sad. I can't watch this. I can't bear to watch this. Meanwhile, the whole time in your head, you're thinking, can this please keep going because it's so entertaining? That's just how humans are. I really hope that part was relatable, or else I'm going to sound like a crazy evil person. But anyways, the person who just came asks what the issue is, and the hitchhiker explains it to him and asks if he could give him a ride to the nearest hotel. But the difference between me and the other car that stopped was this car had 4 people in it. So if this guy was actually the next Ted Bundy, he was going to have to turn into LeBron and the Bartles to take all of them on. And they were all bigger guys too, so I don't think they were as sketched out or worried as I was that this guy would harm them. So after explaining his story, the people agreed to give him a ride. And I just drove off and got home about 4 hours later. So that's the end, right? The hitchhiker was just a normal guy who genuinely needed a ride with no ulterior motive, right? I wish. But no, that wasn't the case. Because about a week later, I'm watching the news. And no, I don't normally watch the news, okay? My mom was watching it, and I just happened to be in the same room as her, okay? We all know that everyone's mom watches the 9 o'clock news. So anyways, my mom had this playing, and I'm not really listening to it because I'm on my phone. But then I hear the news anchor say, coming up next, beware of this hitchhiker scam in Joshua Tree. So my ears perk up like Diddy when he hears the word baby oil, and now I'm locked in. And when the news anchor starts talking about it, sure enough, there was an ongoing scam of a person that would pretend to have a broken down vehicle asking for a ride to the nearest hotel. But for the people who did give him a ride, at some point between picking him up and arriving to the hotel, he would pickpocket them. So he stole wallets, jewelry, anything you could think of. I guess there was like 4 different people that went into the police station and had a similar story about this happening to them. So when I saw that, I knew it had to be the guy that I met. But this made me really curious about one thing. Who was the guy who called using that phone? Because there was a voice responding to him on the other side, so I really thought he was talking to someone. And it just happened a week ago, so I still had the phone number in my recent calls. So I decided to call that phone number back
Hey,
to see
boy.
who they were. Right now, I was trying to solve the case. I don't know how I called it myself, but when they picked it up, I could hear slight breathing, but they didn't say anything. So I said, "Is that silence?" They just hung up without saying a word. So I tried calling back right away, but when I did that, without ringing once this time, it went straight to voicemail. Why did that happen? They blocked my number. So I don't know if this person was Robin and the hitchhiker was Batman or what, but either way, this is why you never act like the people in the horror movies. A few nights ago, I received the most disturbing phone call of my life. And that may sound dramatic to you, but I promise it's not. Because around 1 a.m. on last Thursday, my phone rang. I checked to see who's calling me this late in the night, and what does it say? No caller ID. So
Bye,
I
guys.
quickly declined it, assuming it's spam, and not thinking anything more of it.